ಶಿವನೇ
ಜಜಲಪ್ಪ
Chajalo.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ.
Hello and welcome to the Sikkim podcast brought to you by Summit Times. I am Chiringiden
I'm Pema Wongchuk.
and today we have some heavy but interesting topics to discuss.
Speculative.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is more fun always.
So the
Yes.
first one is the highly speculative swearing in of the Chief Minister that was scheduled to happen today. So, swearing in of the Chief Minister and his cabinet that was scheduled to happen on 26th November, which is today, but it has not happened. And
Yeah, if you could just walk her,
yeah, so on 24th November,
which was a Sunday.
we got invitation forwarded by the IPR department. IPR sends newspapers, news, they press releases and all that. So similarly, they had sent us invitation saying with the schedule of the swearing-in ceremony that was supposed to happen on 26th November, supposed to happen today. And interestingly, there was a forwarding kind of a letter, a cover letter or whatever, from the Undersecretary Home Department to the Secretary IPR, which was dated 25th November, even though that was sent on 24th November. So I guess that happens.
Yeah,
Maybe they
Clerical error.
was a clerical error, or they were supposed to send it on 25th.
And
maybe.
yeah.
Anyway, so then the Home Department sends it to the IPR Secretary, and the IPR department forwards this to us and other newspapers as well. And this was, I think, one of the schedules, the program of the day was also forwarded by the Raj Bhavan.
Was it?
That is how this.
No. So this is the letter that comes from the IPR department, right? A forwarded WhatsApp photo.
So IPR
of
had
the
basically
letter.
just forwarded it to us. They had not put.
There was no
anything on it.
context, there was no explanation, there was no, which is typical. And so when we were doing the story, of course, given how things are, it become. I mean, I like the speculative part. That is around the time when the 12 BJP MLAs were in Delhi and were posting photos of their meetings with Ram Madhav, the National General Secretary or whatever, the guy who was in charge of Sikkim, and to whom you can credit the BJP strength of from 0 to 12 after elections have taken place. So when the election results are declared, BJP is 0, and today they are 6 months down the line, 12. So anyway, so these photos were posted for a longest time, ever since SKM and BJP joined hands. There's been this speculation about, are they going to be an alliance government? Are they going to form a government, alliance government, NDA government or something like that, right?
So please explain what is an alliance government.
In which BJP and SKM both come together to form, in Sikkim's context, which is not required, right? SKM doesn't need an ally, it has the numbers.
So,
which would then mean BJP MLAs will have to be given cabinet positions. And of course, there was also talk of them also getting a deputy CM. This is like what was being chattered about. But it's in this backdrop that we received this invitation out of the blue saying swearing in. When I had not seen the mail. So when someone first told me, I said it's probably fake news. It's like just one of those, again, pranks someone was pulling. But then you see this letter has come from the IPR department, which is a state government department, so you take it seriously. So this has obviously happened. And when we were following up this story, there's a lot of things that too many things are still not very clear about this whole episode. For instance, no one has come on record on why this is being held. No one is on record, but this got cancelled eventually. It didn't happen today.
So let's just the sequence of events.
Yeah.
So then 26th November
happens
today, and there's nothing, not a squeak, like we don't know what has happened. The journalists don't know what is happening. We asked a few of our reporters to ask party people, and they also said we don't know anything about this. And
they kind of feigned ignorance about the whole issue. They said, which is They can get away with that because they never issued a invite, right?
Yeah,
SKM, the
that's,
party didn't.
party is
The
not.
party didn't. So they just danced. Of course, as if they didn't know. You can't just dance away. You can't say, "Okay, I don't know."
Anyway, so what is the problem is that after that, first of all, we were not explained why the chief minister needs to be sworn in again.
Not just the chief minister, the entire cabinet.
Entire cabinet as well. Why the swearing in is taking place?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we thought when the day comes, we'll come to know, but the day has come and it hasn't happened, and there is no official clarification from the Home Department or the IPR. They've just like forgotten about the issue.
Yes, because
So,
yeah, were you saying something?
No, so that's I think that's the basic.
That's what happened. Yeah. So when we were announcing the news, like when we were reporting the news, that time we tried to speak to some SKM office bearers and things like that. None of them came on record. They would not say anything on record, primarily because they said we don't know. But when we were okay with them giving us information off the record, they said the CM has to be sworn in because the last time he was sworn in, he was not an MLA. So he was appointed CM. He would have a shelf life of 6 months. And now that he's been elected, he needs to be sworn in properly. Okay. I'm not sure that is how things work. But okay, that's what they thought was the case. And one of them also said that we are not looped in to what is happening because this is on the initiative of the Raj Bhavan. It's not us. And so I don't know about that either. So, for the record, you wrote to
we
Raj
sent off
Bhavan.
mails to the PRO Raj Bhavan as well as the IPR department. Let's see if we get any replies at all, and if we do, what?
Yeah, hopefully then we can just do a 5-minute update to the podcast telling the people about what the official position on this is. I don't expect any replies because it's so easy for people who make news, like people who are the news in Sikkim, to just ignore things that they don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
So they can just kind of ignore that story. What can we do? We can ask them again. We can maybe send someone up there to get them on record. And I think the only way they'll respond is we'll say, okay, fine, then I'm just going to talk to 100 different people and just do a speculative piece without your position on the matter.
Yeah.
Maybe then we'll get a clarification. So, yeah, let's see how that plays out. It was very interesting though, this whole thing. Because the only, even if there's a cabinet reshuffle, I cannot understand why the cabinet needs to be sworn in. Even in the event of a cabinet reshuffle, I don't think the entire cabinet needs to be sworn in afresh. So when the moment that people talked about the cabinet also being sworn in, the thing was that, okay, they're going to announce the alliance government and others are going to be...
BJP MLAs will be given some kind of...
positions and they'll be sworn in and things like that. When you make a new minister, obviously he has to be sworn in. But it's not such an elaborate event as what was being planned. It was almost like government formation, right? So there was that. That was interesting. It's still not played out though.
Yeah,
And it was crazy. People who think that they have to protect the government and everyone from negative news, not even fake news, were posting stuff like this is not corroborated, the event swearing in. And I was wondering, how are they saying that? Because the letter has come from the IPR department.
Yeah.
And the next day, of course, the confirmation comes that yes, it is from the IPR department. This is going to happen. And then it doesn't happen. Do you realize, it's so interesting? I'm surprised that wherever is it that Sikkim vents on social media, this has not exploded.
This has kind of, I think, because I just saw in someone's
one person
Facebook. No, not one person. People commenting saying that crazy comments. It is the work of former CM Pawan Chamling. This whole swearing in thing. This is fake news. This
was never going to happen. Oh wow! No, because we've not even had a rejoinder from IPR saying that that was a mistake and we passed on fake news to you. They've been absolutely silent on it, or the Home Department. I wonder if the Home Department sent a letter to IPR saying that the event has been cancelled, so don't call the journalists. And journalists were also really cool. I don't think any of them made it to Raj Bhavan.
They just knew it was not going to happen. What is it? I don't know.
Exactly.
Like it's like crazy.
मस्त है ना?
पता नहीं क्या सब like गाजा पी के बैठे हुए हैं यार सिक्किम के लोग. Anyways, so let's move on to. Do you have anything more to say about this?
No. I mean, just get ourselves into trouble. More trouble.
So there is the Aapdara incident or the protest, not incident, protest, where Aapdara is near Dikchu.
Yeah, it's about 4 kilometers short of Dikchu, towards Singtam. Sits right above the dam and the reservoir of stage 5, Tista stage 5. So
where the Tista stage 5 had been commissioned in 2006. So since then they have been facing...
Yeah, ever since they filled up the reservoir and the reservoir climbs up and down, the toe erosion has been just sinking and slipping Aapdara and some slopes above it ever since. I mean, it's like...
so what
they've been in the news so much because their houses have been sinking or damaged or fields have been affected and there's suddenly a sink on their fields above the road. The road is bad out there. So yeah, they've been in the news ever since. One would think that after a hydel project is commissioned, the damage is done and now the earth can heal. Doesn't seem to happen.
So why did they take out the protest this time?
So Aapdara has, like I said, every couple of years they come up with a protest or complaint. It's, I think, a collection of about 20 homes there. And so they've been like I remember right since the beginning of stage 5, we've been reporting about that their courtyards have sunk and there's a crack in the house and their houses are suffering damage. People are like, it's unsteady. 2011 earthquake didn't help matters. It made it worse. So, and every time that happens, they've come up to the DC's office in the past with their protest. Every time that happens, okay, a study is commissioned, some babus go do a survey, and sometimes they get compensation for damages, sometimes repairs are undertaken for them. That has happened in the past. And now the people are saying, nothing doing this, there is no hope for Aapdara. We just want adequate and proper compensation. NHPC take all these our landed properties and our standing buildings there. So no, even if they've fallen, they have to take them. Take it, take ownership, as in like own up to the damage you've caused, and then buy the property that you have damaged and let us go and settle somewhere safer. Although I don't know where they can find that in Sikkim anymore. But anyways, not along the Tista at least, not with NHPC having 3 projects. But that has been their protest. That has been their demand. What has helped them this time is that the approach road to the dam, which goes from right under their homes, suffered a landslide, sink damage, I think in July, some months back. And the people just said, okay, this is our chance to hold NHPC to ransom or whatever. So they're not allowing repairs on that section. Their demand being that we will not allow repairs until you compensate us. And they've not been allowing it. In the latest instance, they came out with a protest rally in Dikchu on Sunday.
Yeah.
And the same demand. Their demand is like, don't repair, don't give us compensation for damages anymore. Just take it. Just buy the entire thing and let us go and settle down somewhere else, is their demand. And like what the administration does every time, they've said, okay, they can get. NHPC is not owning up. NHPC claims that this is not caused by them. And in the past, it has been allowed to get away with it. Like there have been instances in the past where what people thought was compensation that they were receiving from NHPC was on paper actually corporate social responsibility expenses. बेचारा गरीब लोकल लोग का घर रिपेयर के लिए CSR में पैसा दे दिया types. And which is, even at that time I remember us discussing and saying that this is not right. Because CSR, one, you're dodging away from CSR, and the other, you're not owning up to the footprint, your impact in an area. Because you're still giving the same amount of money, maybe even more, but it's as favor. It's not I will punish. You don't call it punishment, but it's not as compensation or taking responsibility for what you've caused to the people. If only the district authorities had done that in the past, these people would not have to fight so much, right? If it was already on record that this is in the affected area, within the affected area boundaries of NHPC 5.
Yeah, if it's a compensation, it has to be recorded as a compensation,
Yes.
right? And it is, yeah.
And too many times, I think, and we've not done enough research on this, but I think in a lot of cases, what gets reported as compensation is on paper actually CSR, khairat types,
So
not
unka record mein it becomes like there has
punishment.
been no damage, people
Yeah.
are absolutely okay with it,
Yes.
and like this,
Yeah.
anyway.
This is not caused by us. There have been cases where they've given the money on record saying we didn't cause this, but bichara log, they've suffered, so here is some assistance towards them. So it's not compensation, it's donation, right, on record in many instances, which I think is inherently wrong, ethically improper.
It is very wrong. The administration and the people also, but people are like would
Yeah,
be fed up and
And
would,
you
like,
you
accept
do not
whatever.
expect people to look into all these
Yeah.
nitty-gritties, right? They wanted 1 lakh, they get 1.25 and they're fine with it.
No, and that's what I was coming to. Ki when the administration comes in and tries to mediate and all that, it is that again Sikkim में वही होता है ना, वो क्या बोलते हैं उसको?
Bhaibanди, Panchayati Raj.
Panchayati Raj. They'll be like, okay, like it doesn't matter whether somebody's apologizing or refusing to apologize, as long as the matter is settled by way of money. Like, okay, like 500 रुपए दे दो, अब हो गया, बस हो गया. It's not just, everything is not just about money, right?
Yeah. And it's, I think now that NHPC will be having 3 back-to-back hydel projects. Stage 6 they'll probably get, stage 4 is also in their kitty, stage 5 they've already made. It would be important for even the organization to try and establish a better image among the people. Like, do good. This attitude is not helping. And for the state's agencies also, no? Like, I think it is not proper that one agency of the government, let's say central, it's a PSU, okay, but it's still government, NHPC, is then going, its role in any disaster is being investigated by another arm of the government, right? I just think you cannot expect them to be very fair. And then they'll dodge around with things like this, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how you work your way around it. Independent bodies, I mean, Sikkim is like, there's still a lot of hydel projects being developed here. It's about time that they figure out one proper agency, that not one proper, but a system by which an independent agency can assess the damage. Because clearly what you project in your assessment reports, the area that you affect is always so much larger than that. And till the time is the state's agencies that have got to investigate, they're not going to do a decent job. I mean, they'll get you the money, but that's not it, right?
Yeah.
That's not it. So, yeah, let's see what happens next with Aapdara. It'll probably go away, and then something else will happen. Winter's aa gaya. There's no fresh rain, no fresh damage. And the new government is on record that they want to give Hydel a fresh push. The governor said as much in his meeting in Delhi, where one of the things was that we need more support, more funding for our Hydel aspirations. So, I don't know, the anti-dam groups that supported SKM, what their position will be or how they will be affected by it. I almost feel sorry for them in a way.
It's the actual affected people who will suffer no matter which government comes.
Yeah, and like it's okay, the government has the authority. Hydel is not illegal, it's not contraband, so we cannot stop it from being explored at least. But I don't think people should allow the government, any government, the previous government included, you shouldn't allow the government to say, okay, we'll do it right. I mean, that's not enough.
Yeah.
You have to, at a policy level, show things that you're doing right. And I don't think this is a big enough worry or a big enough problem, but Aapdara might be a good example of a good instance of the government trying to prove that they will do right by the people. So far, there has been nothing. So hopefully the government looks at it that way and sees, let's see how we do it right. That'll be nice, no, if they try that. I don't think they have the officers who can pull that off, but as an idea.
Yeah, of course. Okay, sad.
Third भी ऐसे ही types है, Runcha
Third
types.
भी ऐसे ही, I am also feeling so sad.
Depressed.
So the
No, you
third.
better come up with something happier. Maybe we can talk about the football match the press club had with.
Yeah, Press
Anyways.
Club got 8 goals.
No, but they were distracted because of these big stories they were missing.
Oh, yeah. So
Because they were on the field.
they were playing against whom? The church.
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah,
Church
the church
committee.
tournament is also one of the committees.
Church, the Sikkim United Cup is
Yeah.
an inter-church football tournament that is going on, and in Beach May there was this
Break day or something.
break day where they were having this friendly match, and Press Club was playing against, I think, the tournament's organizing committee, and they got thrashed by 8 goals. But they Press Club made 4 goals, but
It must
still,
have been fun. 12 goals, huh? As
Yeah.
a 70-minute match.
But
no?
still, they got
Entertaining.
8 goals.
Yeah.
I'm only looking
They
at
had
that.
God on their side, yeah, the other side.
Alright. So moving on to the third and the last topic that we will discuss today is the another protest that happened in Namchi
Oh, yeah.
by the Muslim community when their burial ground, which had already been kind of desecrated by excavated mud
From the road widening project.
widening project, they were dumping it in their burial ground
On the slope, and it kind of ended up affecting them.
So, but they were okay with it, and then
I don't think they were okay with
No,
it.
I mean they were like,
Not making
that
a
is not
noise.
the reason for the
Oh,
protest.
no.
The reason for the protest is when they came to know that the area, the burial ground area, is being going to be used for the development of a truck stand, right?
Yeah. It's, in retrospect, we can talk about how this was so insensitive but they did it on a Friday. The earth movers were moved into that space to level the ground or whatever to make the truck stand on a Friday. And Friday is a special day for Muslims. I mean, that's not the day I want to be told that my ancestors are going to be just buried under tons of mud and trucks are going to be parked over it and things like that. So that's insensitive, I think. I don't know, the officers should know really better, right? Yeah, they don't.
Tall ask.
So so on Saturday, the next day, is when they came out in protest in Namchi.
They shut down all the shops.
They called it Save Our Graveyard or something. Save Our
Yeah,
Cemetery.
so the Muslim community,
Kept their shops shut.
they were out, I think, a dharna kind of thing.
Yeah,
also
protest
they took
rally
out.
and all that they took out,
yeah.
yeah.
And the situation was brought under control.
Yes, the DC got in touch with them and he told them. So, I mean, just for some background, I mean, it's still a developing story or the other way around. But when the dumping was taking place and things were getting affected, at that time, it seems the community just kind of built a gate and locked it to block access to the graveyard, which was already buried under mud, and like you could not access it easily enough, and no burials could take place there. So what someone told me is that they had 2 deaths in the community in the recent month, and they took the bodies to Siliguri for burial. I mean, they could have taken it to Jorthang, I guess, but they took it to Siliguri because the Namchi cemetery was not accessible or had been that. So they had put a lock, and a few days before this incident happened, it seems Sikkim police asked them for the keys. And we don't know the complete picture yet, but they asked them for the keys. They were given the keys. And they were told, Jab chahiye hoga maang lena. And the next thing they know, on Friday, these bulldozers and all are being moved in. The gate has been opened and the earth is being leveled and stabilized for a truck stand, which is when they came out in protest on Saturday. And then the DC got in touch with them, gave them back the keys. He said, let's maintain status quo. There's going to be no truck stand yet. You have access to the graveyard, which really can't be used yet. But let's keep it at that. We'll talk about it. We'll hold discussions and see where that goes. And the community has had this space for their dead since before the merger.
Wow.
Yeah. So when this story came out, my first reaction, given how we are treating the Muslims in our country, I was wondering if they're going to ask for title papers again, like they did in some other cases. And I don't know whether you have title papers to a space that the king just allowed you to bury your dead in. So there's that whole complication as well. I won't be surprised if the red tape and the bureaucracy starts asking for these documents just to, I don't know, do what. The good thing was that this whole protest was led by the youngsters of the community. Because I think the elders are too shell-shocked by how the country has been treating them. And would have thought twice before protesting. I mean, there is a fatalism, I'm sure. If I was a Muslim, I would be so... not angry, I would be like so disappointed in my country right now. So I think the old have this, like I said, this fatalism happening. So the young led it, and they succeeded, and they kept things decent. It didn't go out of hand like some other protests in the recent past have been like absolute madness. This was not. They talked, and they resolved it for now. So I think that's really good, and I hope the community kind of draws some strength from this episode. Unfortunately, I didn't see enough people from other sections of the society
That's
coming in
never
their support.
going to happen. I mean, I should not.
No, why should you say never going to happen? That's like, you're not like, that's so, I mean, of course we have to be pessimistic, but come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, this is too sad. I think we have to do a happy one.
No, because I was just, I mean, it's always like that, right? This Sikkimese society especially is so, they put you in categories, and it's so like watertight almost. So when you see a Muslim protest, only Muslims are supposed to be there. When you see a student protest, only students are supposed to be there.
Oh, we don't allow it to remain like that.
If it's a women's issue, only women are supposed to be there. You know, like...
Yeah, we can carry on from here. I mean, what is a women's issue? I mean, like, given how dependent the entire society and family is on the woman in the family, there cannot be a women's issue.
No, I told you, right?
It affects everyone.
When there's any program or whatever, the welcome party or reception or whatever, khada lagone has to be a woman.
Yeah. The one with the tray with the matchstick for the candles to be lit.
It is nobody even
I'm surprised that
questions
people still don't find that offensive.
I know.
I mean, I get it that it's been internalized.
Yeah.
I get it that if you're a junior and your senior tells you, I mean, as a woman, if you're a junior...
You see in the government programs also, no?
Without fail. Government, party, private. I'm sure if we organize a function, we'll end up doing something similar.
Yeah, if somebody brings in snacks or whatever, they'll ask a woman to like distribute it or like, you know,
it's
laid out.
Long way to go.
So yeah, that's why.
But you have to... Long way to go, but step to low.
वो तो है.
You don't keep stepping backwards. I mean, the worry for me, really, the way the society functions and what is what's been happening is, there is one where you are at a standstill, right? So that inertia also, there's a hope that you'll step forward. There's too much celebration of the past happening. So people are actually stepping backwards. Yes. I think the roles that have been imposed on the women are getting worse of late. I mean, that's my kind of things I've noticed around.
Okay.
So, yeah, at least resist that. At least resist that.
Resist and desist.
Yeah.
And
so, no holding trays. If you listen to this podcast, you happen to be a woman at a function next time, and they tell you to go and put those stupid flower things or those ribbon things on guests, say, no, I think some guy should be sent to do that.
Yep. All right.
Or don't do it at all. Don't have chief guests.
No, I have chief guests, but just tell some guy to do it. I think that you have to make a point.
Yes. At home, when guests come and mom says, Chori goira cha serve kar deo, say, no, I think my brother should do that.
Yeah, that'd be so nice.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, they won't do it.
Ho gaya, like enough of bhadkana and all that. So we will end the podcast for today. We will hopefully be back with the update on.
Oh, that'll be fun to do. Maybe that one we can keep funny.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be hilarious.
We have to do a fun one also.
There is no way without kind of egg on their face that they can walk their way out of what they've done. So we have to do an update. Yeah.